Hey guys, it's Ariza here from Perth Canine Craft, and I'm going to react to a video of Ivan Balabanov, and I'm actually really grateful that he has made this video. He's actually made quite a few videos that I've enjoyed, but this particular video I really appreciate, and the video is called "The Shocking Truth of Electric Collars." So we're going to call a spade today, and we're going to call them electronic collars because I know, some people have the opinion of call it what it is. It's an electric collar. It's not a remote collar. It's an electric collar. It shocks, that sort of thing. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me just make sure you can see. Okay, cool. All right, so here we go.
Good morning. So what I am going to show you is my dogs going out on a walk. And yes.
Oh, this is great. So what I love about this is immediately he's telling you, he's like, I'm going to show you my dogs. I'm going to show you what a walk look like. And, a lot of people will say, oh, he's going to do this, but, maybe it was fake or something. But in my experience, as a dog trainer myself, dogs don't lie. They'll show you what you've conditioned. I love it when I have clients, and I can actually see when clients are doing the work, even if or doing work or doing stuff, because the dog's going to be very honest in what it's been practicing. So I really look forward to this, and I think this is an awesome thing to do because a lot of people can talk in theory, and in the canine paradigm, there's actually a really cool thing. They say, cool story, bro, but show me your dog. So let's have a look.
I have some couple of electric collars here.
Okay, cool. So he's not telling us.
And I will show you why in a second. I just need to turn them on.
And that's important that you understand.
And I want to take...
Not all remote collars are made equal, just like all cars or TVs or computers or whatever, soil, if you're into planting. So that's important you do research.
On my morning walk with my dogs.
Ooh,
So,
I like that.
Let's go.
So here's the thing. He just said it's a morning walk. Okay, so potentially he hasn't done anything to these dogs to, make them tired or anything. So thinking, well, the dog's tired, so it's not going to show as normal and natural.
We have a very big behavior. Place.
Ooh.
It's more than 10 acres.
Oh, wow, that's huge. I've never been
and
there.
And I will show you back there. We are back on a preserve area. So there is a lot of wildlife here.
Oh, cool.
Anything from squirrels, rabbits, possums.
So prey animals, yeah.
Deer, alligators, panthers.
Oh, predators too.
And
so this is actually important because I come from South Africa, and actually my first experience with training dogs was in the bush and raising dogs for one, security purposes, but also anti-poaching units and things like that. So once you're working with a dog, and someone summed it up really well, and I thought it was great, and he said a dog is a dog before a breed. But I always remember that breed is a great place to start. But I'll tell you, a dog is a predator. So they're going to go after prey animals. And then, of course, there are other predators. Now, we had to condition the dogs, that they're very tough and all that sort of stuff, unless it came to wildlife. I really didn't want my dog to go after prey animals that could put them in danger, or when we needed them to focus to work. But I also didn't want the animals, even for some prey animals, I didn't want them to go for them because they'll get hurt, like buffalo, for example, is a good one. And then, of course, other predators. So snakes is a big one. Lions is another one. Rhinos, you're big, but there's even some smaller predators and wildlife that can still hurt my dog. So it's good that he says that they've got a variety of wildlife that he could encounter. Now, I do understand that when you're out in, let's say, a city, you're not going to encounter wildlife, but you're going to encounter the native wildlife, if you will. So that's people, and people are very different too. And their
that's
animals,
Florida.
Pets,
So, these two dogs are about 2 years old.
I've never been to Florida.
One's a boy, one's a girl.
Oh, cool.
In
So they're pretty young dogs, boy and a girl,
male and female.
intact. Which a lot of people actually de-sex their dogs, you know, so it's really cool. The variables
And
he's mentioning.
he has that ball
Oh, ball.
because that's kind of gives him safety. He just keeps him out of trouble.
Okay, so there's some management. That's awesome. So he knows his dog, which is pretty cool.
There he goes.
Oh, he's off.
And now she's gonna go.
Oh, here we go. So collars go on, switch on before dogs go on.
No running. Watch your legs. Watch.
So that's cool because he's showing, you know, like these dogs, if you watch them, they're not too concerned with having the collars on and they probably have experience with it. But in their mind, it's like, it's just another tool, you know, it's like wearing braces or wearing glasses or whatever. So that's pretty cool.
Your legs, they're gonna come this way.
Oh, he knows his dogs. He's like, watch out. Watch your legs. Oh, you get hit, man, you're out.
Okay. So now we're gonna go outside.
I've experienced that myself a few times, actually. If you're not situationally aware. Woo. Woo. Imagine.
Follow me here. Stay with me.
Wow.
Watch them there. Watch them there.
I'll tell you what, like dog trainers, we start to really
Tarzan.
develop situational awareness and we really use our peripherals. Yeah. I mean, you see all these videos, you know, on TikTok and stuff where people get hit. And yeah, it is funny, you know, and you
Come
hope
on, guys.
they don't get too hurt. But, you know, situational awareness is a skill you actually have to develop when you're training with dogs. Any animal, really, if you're working with any animal.
Tarzan.
I had a pup named Tarzan. He was pretty cool, so Malinois.
Hey, Tarzan.
All right, so it's using his voice. Wow, man, those dogs
Come
are
this
going
way.
100 miles an hour.
Tarzan.
One of the things I really love about the remote collars is, at least the electric collars I use, is it has a tone. Sometimes they're vibrating. I can actually condition that. So if I'm not sure the dog didn't hear me, it's too far, it's too windy, it's too loud for other noises, I can actually press that button. And
So
the dog
that's
is
what
conditioned.
electric collars
Come this way.
do for me and my dogs.
Yep, I agree.
They have the freedom to run like crazy
They can be dogs.
on
They
a
can be
beautiful
free.
property and be
Wow.
dogs
Oh.
every single day.
Oh, isn't that lovely? Look at that. Ah. And you can see, like, he's not really interfering much with the dog's behaviors. He's allowing them to do and to be free. That's so cool.
If any of you ever insist that I should walk my dogs here on long lines with no pull harnesses
An opal harness.
to prevent them from chasing or killing some
Oh, preventing.
rabbit or a squirrel, that would be, I don't know, that is just ridiculous.
Oh, yep.
And I don't mind what you do with your dogs. It's your
Gotcha.
dogs. You can call yourself guardian dog owner, whomever you want to be. That's totally fine. And you do what is right for you and your dogs.
Yep.
And as long as you keep them safe and they have good life, that's great.
I agree. I think this is important because what he's showing is he's happy to agree to disagree and he's happy to be respectful. I'm very similar in that way. And what's really cool is having such a variety of dog trainers in the industry is you can match clients with the type of dog trainers, you know, with what the goal is that they want and how they want to work with the dogs. So I think that's so cool to have a spectrum of dog trainers that you can give people options. Obviously, I know in like being in the first world country for a couple of years now, sometimes having too many options is very overwhelming.
This is my choice. That's
Yeah.
what I like my dogs to have. I like them to have the freedom to run, to play.
Yeah, cool.
We have many dogs.
Oh yeah.
These are Belgian Malinois. Belgian Malinois have very, very strong prey instinct.
Yeah, it's what they're bred for as well. Yeah.
Just like with all dogs, they differ. Like I have in the house another 2 intact males
Nice.
and 2 intact females.
Oh, cool. Yep.
We rotate them. There is dogs that go out in the kennel, then the dogs from the house, and we switch back and forth. So everybody has equally house and kennel time.
It's a lot of work.
When I let some of the other dogs, I don't have to put electric collars on them.
Nice. Yep.
And the reason I don't is because they're not going to do anything.
Nice.
These two are young, and they like to chase. They like to corner animals.
Oh, yep. So he knows
Very
his dogs.
easy, extremely easy for me to control them and tell them what to do and what not to do.
I think that's so cool that he's got a variety of dogs, and that's really good that he mentions it, because I think that's important.
While at the same time,
Yeah. So
have
not
them
all-
have a blast
Not all of the dogs
every
need it.
single day.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's
like-
what really electric collars do for your dog.
I love it. I love it. So it's like saying, you know, it's not, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if there's a dog that doesn't need a remote collar, that's awesome. That's really cool.
If you are a force-free trainer and you say, well, my dog doesn't do that, and you should just train your dog better.
I think that's such a good point. So I think there's a saying that says it's not a problem until it's a problem. So sometimes with different drives, a dog doesn't exhibit the drive, so you don't need a solution for it. And often when I speak to my clients and we talk about leashes, you know, on leash and off leash behaviors and things like that, I will say to them, well, your dog has a history of showing whatever the behavior is, so that, you know, and maybe it's unsafe or it's inappropriate or it's just plain annoying or something. I don't know, you know. Therefore, we need to start teaching the dog. Sometimes you actually have to address the behavior and go, that has to stop. Especially the more dangerous the behavior is to the dog, to the environment, and to, you know, people or animals in the vicinity. So yeah.
And all that nonsense.
Maybe nonsense.
I can
for him,
tell you
suppose,
that
but I guess he's
I
frustrated.
am a
Fair enough.
professional dog trainer. I've been training dogs for 40 years.
Yep. Wow, that's a long time.
I'm two-time world champion in the most difficult dog sport.
Wow. I would tell you, I love dog sports, and I specifically love watching it. And the amount of commitment you have to take, I think, with any professional athlete of some way, shape, and form. That's some determination right there.
IGP.
IGP.
That means I'm better than 99% of the trainers in the world.
I will say my autistic brain goes, oh yeah. But I understand what he's saying. It's a very broad concept. Because my autistic brain says, well, what about those that didn't compete? But I guess that's the point, isn't it? Like, if you haven't competed, then, you know, you wouldn't really know. And I'm pretty confident he's happy to be like, yeah, cool, if you want to compete, then do it. But I guess that's the point, right, is that he's being compared to a lot of different dog trainers and handlers in the world. And that's huge. There's a lot of people in the world. So that's pretty awesome.
It's not a brag. I'm just saying this because
Why are
I
you
want
bragging?
you to know
That's hard work. That's
that
really a good...
my dogs are trained,
take some
and I
commitment.
know better
Yep.
than you about dog training.
Well, you definitely
That's
do know
what-
stuff I don't know.
If we look at chance, that's what it is.
Yep,
So,
that's fair. That's a fair point. I'm not going to argue that. I mean, if I'm willing to argue that, then I should be willing to put some skin in the game, meaning like go and, you know, challenge him in something. I love to learn, so I don't need to challenge people. It's really good. I mean, he's just stating a fact,
let's
right?
take a look at the blowbacks
Blowback. Oh,
of
cool.
using electric collar.
Yeah.
Or let's call it shock collar if that's what you like.
Yeah, shock collar, whatever. Just call a spade a spade.
Lifelong suppression,
Really?
physical pain,
Okay, well,
mental distress.
I don't see any of that in these dogs. But I do understand through the process you could see some of these things. But any time, I mean, I'm only going to, you know, I'm only thinking back on some things I've learned in the past, especially things I'm really bad at. They were not pleasant. You know, like playing sport. Some things I did in sport actually hurt me. I got injuries. Some of it caused little mini traumas. And then I had to learn how to overcome it. I tried to learn from it, like how to avoid it in the future or how to navigate it in the future, that sort of thing. So any process could be stressful in that. Because again, I come from South Africa, so I realized that there's a lot of things in life that you can't make positive experiences, and it's so important to create and help mold strong people, kids, dogs, cats, whatever, because at the end of the day, nature doesn't discriminate, nature doesn't care for feelings, and there are some things when we are training the dog doesn't actually realize that our feelings are involved. So that's pretty interesting. Anyway.
Fear of the owner.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of the environment.
You see, that's such an important thing because and again, I'm going to talk about myself as an autistic person who grew up, or just as a plain human, when things were inconsistent in my environment, I was trying to go through the process of elimination, of figuring out what it was. I talk about two things, like with the behavior consequence links, and through the process of elimination, dogs will go through that, right? Whether you're punishing a dog or reinforcing. And I say to people, I want to teach my dog, I want them to understand that it is their fault, because if it's their fault, they have to some degree control. And if a dog doesn't have control, but he can predict, he can be very frustrated. That's one end of the spectrum. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if a dog can control decisions, but not the outcome, or he doesn't know what the outcome will be, is kind of what I'm saying, they'll be anxious. It's basic psychology that I've learned, because I can study for a test or not, but I still don't know if I'm going to pass. Road rage is another. It's just a good example of, let's say, frustration, because you see someone's going to cut you off and you get mad at it because you can't control it. So the test example is of anxiety, and road rage is the frustration. So you can apply that in dogs. And sometimes I say to people, with the whole thing of, oh, my dog knows it's doing wrong, and I can't help but look at married couples where I say, well, I mean, this is just a generalization. I'm sure it's turning around, but imagine you're someone who gets some sort of social blowback where someone's angry at you, or they're ignoring you, or I don't know, and you're like, what happened? And that person's like, oh, it's obvious. But the thing is, it's not really obvious. So if it is so obvious, then just tell someone about it, and then you can go from there. But I also I always joke and I say, hey, Mr. Husband, have you ever walked into the house and you go, oh, she's mad, and you go, oh, she's mad at me, I must have done something. So even though you might know you've done something wrong, doesn't necessarily you know what. Okay, and I always use recall as an example. And this is just the story I tell myself and my clients, and people can tell many different stories with the same things. So I say to them, imagine like a recall. So you call your dog, they come, and with time they don't come. And you start getting angry, frustrated, whatever, because you got to go, whatever the reason is. And the dog's thinking, I mean, I get rewarded when I don't listen to you, because I get to run around, I get to play, I get to explore, I get to do whatever it is the dog's wanting. You can't, you're like, and if I come, then I get rewarded as well, like you're paying me and all that. So why are you getting angry, right? And then after a time, the dog goes, well, you know what? When you look like that, when you act like that, when you smell like that, that's generally not a good thing for me, right? Or they can go, well, yeah, you do reward me a little bit, but that's not really what I want, because it's not what I want. I've got a different competing motivator over here, or it's just not worth it to come anyway. So what's your problem? And then they go, I think to myself, like when my mum was angry, or, I see people who are a bit angry at me or whatever, I tend to be like, okay, I'm going to be very considerate. I'm just going to give you some space. And the dog is like, yeah, I'll come back in 10 minutes and hopefully, count to 10 or whatever, and you can calm down. I think that's pretty considerate, because the dog doesn't realize you're getting, the choice the dog's making is having an effect. Sometimes ego's involved, but remember, practice makes permanent. So by practicing behaviors where the dog gets rewarded for doing what you need them to do, is going to set you up for those emergency situations. So that's a really good thing.
Learned helplessness.
Yeah. helplessness, man, that can be a very deep and complex subject, because sometimes, and I don't know, I had this idea of like when we need a dog to just accept things and they need to take it, like if I go to the dentist and it's hurting and that, I'm like, oh, nothing I do is, nothing I do as a kid, like people would hold you down, whatever, and it's like you just have to accept and work through the pain so that you can feel better. And I think like vet work and grooming and things like that, like there are certain times where we have to teach dogs a skill of like just accepting. So I don't know if that's the same as learned helplessness. So that would be a really good question. Like, what's the difference between yielding to something like, okay, like I'm grooming you now or I'm cutting your nails, versus learned helplessness of like, oh, I'm just going to take it.
And go on and on on.
It's interesting. Yeah.
But that's pseudoscience. That's a narrative that an ideology is trying to push on everybody.
Ideology and propaganda.
And I hope that one day all of you will stop that nonsense and we can do something better to improve dog training altogether.
Yeah,
I am not by any means suggesting.
I think the whole thing about the squeaky wheel gets the oil kind of narrative, plays into there, but also squeaky wheels that get oil and still squeaky gets replaced, so it's very interesting.
That we should strap electric collars on every dog. There is absolutely no need for that.
I love that. That's brilliant.
These two, as I said, benefit from it.
Yes.
Other dogs absolutely don't need it, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and I guess you have to learn how to know. These dogs are having a blast. Love it. That's so cool. It's being doggos.
Also, some of you know that we have done a study that's going to come out pretty quickly here, comparing force-free approach to aversive approach, stopping dogs from chasing prey.
Okay, that'd be cool to see.
That's
awesome. Like,
outcome of the study was overwhelmingly in favor of the use of aversives.
Okay, that's cool.
I am willing to repeat the study if you truly think that there is a better way.
Oh man, that's great. So he's open to it. That's awesome. I love it.
Let's make a study together.
Oh, that's so good.
And let's show what we can do. Like talking about us.
Man, it comes back to that quote of like I either I'm successful or I learn kind of quote, where it's like that is such a cool attitude to have. It's like a
Science says. Science doesn't say what you think it says.
Okay.
I will suggest that you go and watch my other video.
Man, that's a good one, because as a Christian, I often will get people who go, oh, but the Bible says, and I'm like, does it? Does it really? Like, and when people say, and I'm very careful with taking things on hearsay, which is why I like people giving resources, which I like to try and do, because when I am working with something different, new, I'm always thinking, have you tested this for yourself, kind of thing. It's great to trust people, but you also need to be able to go and test things and check them. So in Christian, for example, when someone comes to me with a question, and I'm always like, okay, well, show me the evidence, show me the proof, and how did you get to that conclusion? Because, man, you can get some really cool ways of people's thoughts and how they got to something. I find that awesome. So it's really cool that he's willing to be open to like, hey, yeah, I'm happy to do this again. And I think that just shows his maturity and his confidence as a dog trainer. I'm pretty sure that if something else works better, I'm confident that he would put that in his toolbox. Doesn't mean that he'll throw away the remote collars, because it's all about context. So that's so cool.
I'm gonna take them out this way. Hey guys, come on, Tarzan. They're gonna just go crazy. Watch your legs.
Oh,
hey, come this way.
Look at those dogs, man. They're having a ball, pun intended.
If you have not seen my video about what science really say about dog training, please watch it. I explain in pretty good detail
Okay, I'll
why
put
that
I know where to find it, so I'll put it
information that is pushed on everybody from this
in the link.
pseudoscientists is such a bad idea for every dog owner in the world.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, scientists are still human, right? So you can imagine that there could be room for error.
Hey,
Or there could be room for application for certain things and application for other
Tarzan!
things. I mean, in science, I always thought that you want to try and remove as much variables so you can kind of repeat the thing and get the same result.
So as I said, I'm not gonna.
And the reason why I said that is sometimes, yeah, within a vacuum or when you're removing all these variables, yeah, science could say, but science doesn't necessarily mean real life unless it's a very, very broad observation that regardless of the different variables, it's the same. You know, like gravity. Even if you fly with an airplane, even if you fly with a balloon, even if you have a it's called a parachute, you're still coming down. So
Make hundreds of videos, but I will make a bunch of videos for anyone that it's at least curious to
that's so
know what electric collars do.
yeah.
Hey,
I will say that there's so many different variants in dog training, and it takes time to study and really, get my teeth into it. So sometimes I don't have the time to study everything. So I take my time. I really get to know stuff.
that's what electric collars do.
That is so cool. I haven't seen him use anything
This way,
yet either,
Tarzan!
because I haven't seen much change in the dog's behavior in terms of attitude and emotional state. Well, I've seen different
Look,
drives.
you guys.
Just big
So
dogs.
suppressed, so miserable.
Sarcasm, I love it. Takes some time to identify that sometimes. Or is it irony?
By the way, I have not used the electric collar one time right now. There is absolutely no reason to.
That is so
I
cool.
have not used it in months, probably.
That is so cool, where he's like, well, there's no reason to use it. I love that. That is so cool. And it's really interesting, like, he's actually really giving the dogs autonomy in doing things. He's not...
If I need to,
He's not a
I
drill
have
sergeant.
zero hesitation. I can
Oh, which actually makes me think a lot of people who talk about dominance theory, I've seen evidence of dominance, I get that, but I mean, I would really love like a very clear definition. But one thing about dominance that I can say, having observed many different types of animals in herds and prides and packs and whatnot, is a dominant animal doesn't control every single aspect of another dog's life, or another lion's life, or another hippo, or another elephant's life. But because what I mean by that is, a lot of times a lot of people want to control the dog like a remote control car, and I think that's silly. You have a sentient being with their own wants and needs and things. And I remember a quote from Buck Brenham about horses where he said, you realize how strong a horse is when the goal the horse has and what you have is directly opposed. And I will always tell people, the same sort of thing where I say, you realize how persistent, how stubborn, how committed dogs can be when you want something and what the dog wants is completely different.
stop them. I can call them. I control them. And that's the beauty that I can give them this.
So you can influence
But I
them very
know
strongly.
that I have control over them.
I don't know, my autistic head is my control is like, I always think of remote control or
Electric collars really are an amazing, amazing dog training tool.
tool. That's cool. Got some great tools out there in the world.
There
Really
is
makes a
hopefully
difference.
many of you that watching that are kind of confused about it
Not really.
and have problems with your dogs, one or the other being, again, chasing cars, animals, or anything else.
I do know, and I learned this recently from, because I also train myself with different dog trainers from Kaizen, and there's something the guy, Ben, said. He said, the better you are at positive reinforcement, the less negative reinforcement and positive punish you might need, frequently or whatever. So that's really cool. and that's really cool. So no, I'm not
I
confused.
suggest that you look for a trainer that understands how to use electric collars. And you may have help right next door to you.
That's true.
And you can offer your dogs good life.
None of my neighbors know I'm a dog trainer.
So if you choose not to, that's okay too.
Oh, I love that.
Like again,
I love that. Like, so I've been working with remote collars since 2016, 17, so not that long. But I love how he's so respectful, where he's like, yeah, if you don't want to do it, that's fine.
the
So
only reason I'm making that video is because I want you to leave us alone.
Ah, okay.
Like, mind your own business.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what I need to do for my dogs.
Yeah.
If my dogs
Well,
are
Mr.
mistreated,
I am in Australia, and you're right, it's none of my business what you do over in Florida.
it's not you.
But-
There is animal care. There is
Oh, yeah.
governing organizations that take
Yes.
care of animal abuse. It's not
Yes.
you people.
Yes. I've worked with a lot of law enforcement and things, and what's really interesting is the relationship between the authority figures, because when I look at myself being a dog trainer, you have normal everyday pet people. They do not have authority over other people. They can report and gather evidence and then give it to people with authority, like rangers and police. And I think a lot of people struggle, they get frustrated because they don't realize you need a history of evidence to be able to convict someone in court. So for the authorities, that can be very frustrating. But then there's like the person in the middle, right? So I'm not a pet owner. I'm a dog trainer myself. So I'm very experienced in my subject matter. Okay. But I still don't have authority because I'm not employed by government. So yeah, and I think what happens a lot of times is when we feel governments and, they're slow or we're not actually giving them what they require to convict people, we try and use social pressure. So I understand, social pressure is very normal. Like the minority of people these days are really putting pressure on the majority of, with a lot of things. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept. I think there was a saying that said, my grandma used to say, what other people think of you is none of your business, kind of thing. And I do actually agree with, like, when you're starting to use legislation to push your own propaganda, I would say be careful that you don't become a Hitler or a Pol Potts or, people who have done that. So, yeah.
Okay? It's just so upsetting
Yeah.
on daily basis to
It is. When you're
look
trying
at
your
people
best.
in Europe.
Not just in Europe.
They cannot do that
Yeah.
for no reason.
Put some.
Come on, guys, let's go this way. Tarzan.
If whatever decisions I
Oh,
make
she's
with
gonna
my dog's not really going to
She
influence
can't
you
even poop.
in a
She's so
different
busy.
country. Hopefully, it won't
Easy.
influence my community either. But yeah. Look at that. Oh man. Look
Last year, I believe it was last year, we were in Austria, in the mountains, beautiful, beautiful mountains, Alps, right? I couldn't let my dog off leash in the mountains. It had to be on a long line. I had to have a muzzle with me, and I had to have his passports and all sorts of things, but
management.
definitely not on off leash.
Okay.
It's against the law.
Oh well.
Why? Because you don't have control. Because when you ban certain tools, this becomes
Yeah.
problematic.
Oh, I see what he's saying. Okay. So there are countries that and even in Australia, certain states have tried to ban certain tools, and when we remove the tools, it means the dogs where the tools could have been beneficial now live a very restricted life. So I understand what he's saying, and the thing is, I have a choice as a person, right? I can have my dog off leash with a remote collar that I've trained in a country where it's illegal. When I'm caught, even though morally I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, my dogs are under control, they're having a ball, the community's safe, my dogs are safe, I'm safe. if you're having to hide what you're doing, that's actually the best for your dog because of legislation and that. I mean, that's hard. That's hard. How am I supposed to live my life with my dogs?
Yeah, we are very, very
very
fortunate in United States to have these opportunities.
Yeah.
And not going to stop fighting and not going to stop defending my rights to do what I think it's right for my dogs and not what you think it's right for my dogs.
I think that's so important, right? Because just because someone doesn't agree with your choice doesn't necessarily mean they can take away your right. And this is such a grey area. Because here's the thing, and I thought about it, and I've spoken about it to a few law enforcement officers privately and rangers, and it's like, if someone is truly being abusive to their animal and you can, gather the evidence and things, why... I mean, there's a lot of dogs out there with remote collars on and being trained, especially here in WA, because we're very fortunate. Prong collars haven't been banned yet. Remote collars haven't been banned yet. And I agree with Ivan, fighting against that to protect our way of life and actually giving our dogs freedom that we really want to give them. But because of their genetics, because of their ethology, and things that they do, without those tools, we can't, or it takes too long. There's nothing wrong with effectiveness, I think. That's so cool.
This way.
Oh, they're there. Oh, man, that is beautiful. What is it? It's been like 15 minutes of just 16 minutes of just pure joy in these dogs. And those dogs are not suppressed. That is for sure. They're not learned helplessness. They're not, and someone who's been depressed themselves or learned helplessness or has trauma, that will bleed into all aspects of life. I know myself.
All right, guys.
Even affected me, and
let's not make this
stuff I
too
really
long.
Enjoyed because it affects that. So these dogs are not depressed.
So you saw there is he just tried to grab something.
Okay.
We have
So you can see more
here bird feeder and a squirrel feeder.
Okay, so they encourage other animals to be around. That's pretty cool. That's cool.
They the squirrels and everybody spends time here all day long. You can come in here.
That is cool. So
it's right by my door. We have
definitely going to be wildlife.
Everything that they need.
Oh, that's so cool. Look at that.
And they know not to chase.
Because of what they've learned. That is cool.
That's what happiness is.
Look at him.
All right?
Chill.
That's not learned helplessness. That's not suppression. That's not none of the shit that you guys want everybody to believe.
Okay.
Simply because I'm holding this in my hands.
Right.
That does not make me an animal abuser.
I agree.
I hope you get that.
Abuse.
It's very, very upsetting.
Let's
go, guys.
Yeah. Put the record straight, Mr. Ivan. So that's really cool that he could stop
now,
the
I
dog
want to,
killing something.
even though you can feel my frustration with this,
Yes.
I am extremely willing to discuss and share my thoughts, and I'm okay if you can convince me any other way. I'm perfectly fine. But for now, please, let me do what I like to do with my dogs, and you do your thing. Okay?
That's very respectful. I agree.
Come.
Oh. This dog's not afraid of him. He's pretty happy.
Kimba.
Yeah. That's so cool. Definitely have a good relationship. I've seen dogs that get severely depressed. That's not that.
All right, guys, come.
Look at that.
Kimba.
Ah, beautiful. That is awesome.
Tarzan. And now I'm gonna let another dog out.
Oh, cool.
And she's not gonna have electric collar. And I'm gonna let another one, and he also not gonna have electric collar. And they don't because there is no need.
That is
Because
cool.
she can pass right next to a squirrel, and she's not thinking to kill it, she's not thinking to chase it.
Yeah.
She has a different things to do.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. I like that. That is awesome.
So,
Pretty much at the end.
I guess the video's running out of memory card. Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, man.
Anyone.
Thanks,
Put
Ivan.
some comments on this.
That is
Let's
good.
talk.
That is so good.
Take care.
I'm hoping to actually share this. That is brilliant. I love it. Okay. Hell, that was great. I love that, and I agree with Mr. Ivan. You know, I do agree with Mr. Ivan. Like, you know, I guess this is where the thing that I think of. On the one end, we have when other people are making choices about their dogs and things. You know, when I'm in a dog park, you know, I'm out with my dogs or something, and I actually had a young trainer say, "Why don't you address that?" And I'm like, well, firstly, it's no skin off my nose if that, you know, they're in a, you know, as I'm assessing, I'm like, well, there's no skin on my nose if something goes wrong there, because I'm not inside that dog park right there. And second, giving people unsolicited advice is usually not received well. So I'm not going to put skin in the game where I don't need to. But on the other hand, I always thought if you're criticizing someone, you need to be willing to put skin in the game, because what if they challenge you? You know, I love when when pet owners, you know, when they sort of like figure out I am a dog trainer and they start challenging me, why don't you do this and this and this? And I what I love doing is like, I'll give them the leash and I'm like, oh, please show me. Not because I'm being arrogant. Sometimes I'm frustrated because I know either they're going to be proven wrong and start to realize maybe I do have some expertise and I can help, or they're going to be successful and I'm going to go, oh my goodness, I just got another tool in my pocket for this. This is brilliant. So thank you so much, Mr. Ivan. I will definitely be sharing this. I'm not really good at marketing myself, but I'll try and get this into as many places and things as possible. I really enjoyed that video. That was amazing. And I can't wait to see the study that you're talking about. Like, you know, proof is in the pudding. You know, I think there's a thing that says if you are very passionate about, you know, whatever it is you're doing, just remember that reason should take the reins. I really love that. So sometimes science isn't practical in real life, and I just thank you, Mr. Ivan. I really appreciate it. You know, I agree, like there are just some dogs where I don't have to use a remote collar because it's not necessary. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching. I don't know, I hope you learned something. So have a great day, because I've got to get to go.